Welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our match preview for Ipswich v Aston Villa. Hannah's on here. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. Very well. Villa are still brilliant, so I'm back to talk about it a bit more.
Right then, you may as well get stuck into the first topic on the agenda. And I want to know what Hannah Gowan thinks of Aston Villa this season, Champions League game, Unai Emery, current form. How are you feeling?
Everything then. That's quite a broad lot of topics there. I'm very happy at the minute. I think we all are, aren't we? It's like the same stuff every week now. Like I can't really get fed up of talking about how good we are. And it's been a little bit of a different couple of weeks because we've had two fixtures where we've seen like a different Aston Villa, where we've kind of fought back from a 2-goal deficit, which is something that, God, even 2-3 seasons ago, I wouldn't have dreamed or dreamt of coming back and winning both of those games. So I did put something out on Twitter over the weekend, sort of talking about how this Aston Villa team now have a different fighting spirit, a bit of minerals about them. And I think that's something that I've really enjoyed about this season. And for all of last season, we were obviously brilliant, and I think we won games in really clinical ways. And obviously, that's kind of how we want to see Villa play most of the time. But for the start of this season, we've seen Villa really grind out some results and come back from losing positions or secure, 3 points from where we were drawing. So seeing that side of this Villa team, I think, has been really good. Obviously, I think there's just one sort of elephant in the room, and that is the lack of clean sheets. And I think as we get further into the season, that might become a little bit more of a problem because you're not always going to be able to score 3 goals if you're losing by 2. And as we come up against some of the big boys in Europe, as we have next week, I think conceding goals is not going to be ideal at all. So that's the only thing I can really say that at the minute is probably not brilliant on the pitch. So other than that, I think we've seen some great signs from this Villa team that this season is going to be another great one. I think seeing the depth in the squad has been really enjoyable. Like the amount of times that subs have come on and changed the game. John Duran being the obvious one, but for me, Ross Barkley as well. Like really, what a brilliant signing in terms of like value for money, in terms of coming on and transforming games, really controlling the midfield and doing exactly what we needed of him. Maatson looks really exciting as well. So I think there's still so much that we've got to see from this Villa team this season. We're still so early on, and I'm very excited. And I think, what this Ipswich fixture can be is like another chance for us to build that momentum, because we do have some quite nice fixtures in the Premier League over the next 3-4 weeks. So I think this one will be really important to just like bed down away fixture, get a really clinical away performance, and hopefully a clean sheet. And then I think we'll be very happy going into our big game next Wednesday night.
Right, let's wrap it up there then.
Yeah, well done, Hannah.
Sorry, that was a bit of a monologue.
Yeah, should we do our score predictions?
Sorry, a bit of a ramble there.
No, you made some good points, and I think one of the big things that I'll touch on what you were saying is like there's like an evolution from last year. Like we're still progressing and we're still learning new things, and we're growing as a team. And I just think it's absolutely amazing. One thing that is absolutely amazing is something that I'm going to share on the screen with you now. Right, it should be on the screen right now. Ryan, this is mightily impressive for me because we all know that we're going through like a really good time, Aston Villa. Like the fan base is just, we've got euphoria of how good we are, and we're all embracing and loving it. But when you see a stat like this, that sort of, it's making history. Like this isn't just like a stat that you just throw away. This is Villa history right in front of our faces. And I look at that list now, and quickest managers to reach 50 wins at Villa. Unai's done it in 90 games. We go back to 1958 with Joe Mercer of 93 games. And then look at that. We've got John Gregory from 98 on 101, Tony Barton 103, George Ramsey 1884 in 103, and Jimmy Hogan in 1936 in 104. I mean, we could probably do with Justin on here to talk us through some of them times, but he's not here, so we can't ask him for that advice. But how proud does this make you feel?
Unbelievable, to be honest, Luke. I've been through some eras myself with Villa. I caught the tail end of Graham Taylor's first stint in charge, where we finished second in the league, and then I sort of had big runs era, and Brian Littles and John Gregory's, who was very explosive when he first joined. Martin O'Neill's, and then Dean Smith's, and but this Unai Emery era, which I think is in its infancy, is like another level, just an absolute other level. He's an elite coach. He's given Aston Villa a completely new identity. He's got Aston Villa Football Club's name on everybody's lips. It's unreal what he's doing. He makes players better. He's a gentleman. I love the way he carries himself, and then you get little nuggets where he's on Match of the Day swearing and showing his true personality and stuff like. He's an unbelievable man, an absolute diamond, and for him to be at our club, it's perfectly matched. I think this moment in time where we've come together, the owners, the fans, and Unai Emery and the players and the coach, it is complete, isn't it? And we're all pulling in the same direction. And I do have to pinch myself because it's been so good, man. It's been really good from the moment he walked through the door and he smashed Man United for the first time in 27 years at home. I waited so long to see that, because 95 I'd missed that 3-1 win. I was on holiday, so I'd never seen him win at home, and he walks through the door and he blows them away like 3-1, and we haven't looked back. We have not looked back from that European qualification, Champions League qualification. Who knows what's coming in the future, but we're just progressively going to get better. And we've made a 6 wins out of 7 start this season, which is absolutely thrilling, because I don't know what percentage you guys would put it at, but I reckon we're only about 40% complete with this squad and the way we're going to play. I feel there's another 60% to gain from now until the end of the season, and how we'll look at the end of the season. We are very much still growing into this season, and I think I said it on the preview, but when Emery evolves the team and evolves the squad, one thing he always does is get wins. He just loves wins. It's just such a filthy habit of getting wins. It's unreal. And even when we're building, like I say, that they come along. So that record there, he's just smashing records all over the place. And that one, when it popped up, it didn't surprise me, Luke. Let's put it that way, because he's just unbelievable.
Yeah, the big thing about that, those 50 wins, is 30 are against different opposition.
Yeah.
So they're not the same, So that's just absolutely mental in itself as well. And I think, Hannah, when we sort of all, we talk about sort of our times watching Villa, you're like the youngest out of all of us, and I think Martin O'Neill was probably the best it's ever been for you, but you're now seeing Villa in a completely different stratosphere to what you've seen probably growing up as well. So how does it feel sort of like watching a good team now?
Yeah, I think I've said before that, I remember going to school and like being a Villa fan during that era was like a bit embarrassing because we were so bad. And obviously you have like the little glory hunters who are all like Man United or Chelsea fans or Arsenal fans, and they always take the piss out of you, for, excuse my French, for being a Villa fan. So like that feeling now of just, it's like ultimate bragging rights. Like wherever I go, whether I'm in work or out and about and talking about, the football, it's like, yeah, I'm a Villa fan. It's like that bragging right is sort of everything you want to be and have as a football fan. And I think I was even daydreaming the other day about Unai Emery and sort of not in a weird way. But just thinking about the fact that I can't comprehend like a near future or a mid-term future where he's not at the club. I think Ryan said there, it's sort of like feels like just the beginning still. And I think that's because this sense of we've not had a bad spell, have we? Like, what's the most we may have lost on a bounce? Like 3 games? So, oh my God, like it's just been, the consistency has been ridiculous. Like we've never ever had like a period of feeling really rubbish. And I can remember so many times coming out of Villa Park feeling really like, oh, that was pants, or we're going to lose next week. And just that feeling of like, oh, there's no chance we beat these. Whereas every week now I turn up thinking, I cannot wait to watch my football team. We're going to win. And like I say about the games the last 2 weeks where we've come from behind, that sense of watching my football club concede a goal, which is always rubbish, but thinking we're still going to win this, or we're definitely going to score. It's a feeling that I can't quite put into words, and this has all happened sort of so quick. Like I can't even believe he's been at the club must be 2 years next month. So it's been an absolute like fantasy, hasn't it, really? And I do agree. I feel like he's going to be here for a long time. He's going to break many more records, and I really feel like he also senses that appreciation. You know, when he walks out, you know, a few minutes after the players, and he gets the biggest round of applause out of anyone, and the chants for him, and he must feel that love, and I hope he does in the mushiest way I can possibly say it. I hope he feels loved and appreciated at our football club, because we adore him, we want him to stay, and I think as long as he's here, he's going to make us very happy, because he makes me very happy. So that's all I'll have to say about Super Unai.
Yes, absolutely love him. Right, Ryan, got a question for you. We're approaching our third away game of the season. We've won 2. I want to know some quick fire positives and negatives. I think it's important to put some negatives in there as well. Of positives are, what are we doing well? Negatives, what do we need to improve? Going into Ipswich and sort of, you know, the next 5 games. We've already had 5, so the next 5.
Right. Don't really not do negatives, but let's start on the negatives. Hannah's already mentioned one, and that's the clean sheets, isn't it? It's that's the main elephant in the room that we haven't kept one this season, and I think, was it like we've only kept 2 since the end of February or something like that, if you tally it into the back of last season. So that's a concern. Defensive cover maybe is a bit of a concern. We've dealt with it. Like Cash has gone out, Carlos was out, Bogard come in and he's done all right. So we're sort of dealing with it. We're very comfortable at left back. It's just if Pau or Konza gets a knock, and then with all the amount of games, so that's a little bit of an issue. So I'm touching wood that we're over that, and that's our worst defensive crisis of the season. I do feel like we lack a little bit of control as well, how to really dominate a game. And that might sound mad, because we've dominated 2 halves against Everton and Wolves, but that was more so because they'd done their bit in the first half, got their noses in front, and then sat back and let us dominate. I feel like them 2 games, we didn't really assert ourselves like possession hungry like we was last year. But we are a team in transition, and we are a different outfit, and we're trying to build differently. We're trying to approach games differently. Our vertical progression of the ball is rapid. We're looking at getting balls into Rodgers, who has been a complete revelation this season. He has just gone up levels. I was watching a goal the other day. Who was it now? Watkins against Chelsea. I think it'd been a year since he scored that goal away at Chelsea. And Diaby had made a run in the middle and played Watkins in. And that is exactly what Rodgers is doing now. He's sort of like taken on that central role, and he's been immense. And Ramsey's found his way back into the team now with some brilliant cameos, and he's getting assists and he's getting goals now. So that's a massive positive. Tillemans has just like, there was a nervousness about Louise leaving, but Tillemans has just like evaporated all that nervousness because he's just shining. He's like in the form of his life. And then you've got depth now, you know, you're looking at depth and you're looking at Maatsen. He's come on. Like I put on Twitter about his stats the other day. He's like goal creation. He's like the third highest for goal creation. And he's made a few cameo appearances off the bench. So I think I do think he will evolve into this team, and a link up with him, Rodgers and Ramsey down that left-hand side could be absolutely potent. You've got Buendia coming back into the team. Like, you know, he got his goal last night. So good to see. Then you've got Mings and Kamara slowly easing their way back into training. So the squad depth for me is a massive, massive positive. Yeah, there's a lot more positives than negatives, and I feel like the negatives can be worked on. I feel like as we grow into the season, as we learn our new shape and how we build, we become more solid. And I feel like the clean sheets are inevitable. We've got the world's number one goalkeeper, so they won't continue. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good insight. I think that's pretty much where I'm at, really, especially with the defensive side of things. I'll try and go into that a little bit more on the predicted lineup, which will be out tomorrow as well. So Ipswich are up next for Villa away. And when they were doing that sort of like Barclays-man player, for me, I feel like Ipswich are like a Barclays Premier League team for me. Because when I was growing up, you know, in the 90s, you'd see their badge and stuff, and there was like the early 2000s as well. And yeah, they're a big club. They're a club that were doing really well. You know, they've had some good players. I always remember Matt Holland. You know what a player he was. Darren Bent was there as well. So you know, I do really like them as a club. I've always sort of, even when they were in League One, I've always sort of looked out for their results. I remember when, you know, I'd be listening to TalkSport and fans would be phoning up about like Mick McCarthy. I think they were in like League One and they were like, oh, we need to get rid of him, etc. So, you know, they've had a back-to-back promotion, League One, Premier League, absolutely amazing. I think Kieran McKenna is a really, really good coach. I did like them last year because I didn't want Leeds to go up, so I really wanted Ipswich to go up. And I think one of the big things for Ipswich was their heart. You know, how many late goals were Ipswich scoring, and just that fight to keep coming back in games. So it was like that, they had that never die attitude, and they've took it into the Premier League because they've got a last-minute equaliser against Southampton. So, you know, I'm really fond of them, and I do hope that they do well this season. I've been doing a bit of research for the predicted lineup and had a real good look at their system, and it's fluid, it's creative, it's strong, it's fresh, it's vibrant. But I think the big thing for me is he's adapted to the Premier League a little bit, Kieran McKenna. You know, you look at Company last year, and he didn't adapt, did he? Not once did he adapt. And maybe you could say I didn't need to because I'm now manager of Bayern Munich. But, you know, I think to keep Burnley up, he didn't adapt, did he? Same way. But you can already see, like, 5 games in for Kieran McKenna, he's got 3 draws. So those are 3 games that he hasn't lost. And those games could possibly, you know, tilt and go in either way. So, you know, I'm quite fond of them, really. I hope they do well. And, yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. But I think the big thing for me is what you've touched on, Ryan, is that controlling the game for me is massively important. A little bit like Leicester. I felt like we kind of did control that game. But then when we went 2-0 up and they came back at us, you lose that way against a newly promoted team, and the energy in the crowd, they can just harness that and they can suck that ball in the net. They can get that goal because you've seen from sort of like a back-to-back promotion that there's a togetherness and an ability to sort of like find a way. So I think that's the biggest thing that I'd look for going into this game, is that we manage the game, a 90-minute performance, which is vitally important. I think we can do it. Hannah, have you watched much of Ipswich?
I haven't, no. I haven't. I don't think I've really caught any of their games, so I can't sit here and critique them too much. But I think you've made probably the most important point about how they've carried their heart from those championship days straight into the Premier League. Because to get sort of 3 draws on the bounce. It's no mean feat, to be fair, in the Premier League. And one was against Fulham, who are a decent side. They've just beat Newcastle quite comfortably. To come back, yes, Southampton are probably going to be in and around relegation this season, but to come back from a losing position shows heart. And they got a draw against Brighton, and again, Brighton are a good side, so definitely can't take those results for granted. I think they've done a really good job, like you say. I caught some of Ipswich last season in the Championship, and I liked McKenna's playing style. I thought it was they were good games to watch. There were normally a lot of goals, so I think this season for them it's all going to be about survival. So those games in those newly promoted sides who are desperate to stay up are really challenging. And I do think potentially one thing that this Villa side struggles against is those teams that perhaps are a little bit, more defensive and trying not to concede. And sometimes we struggle to break those teams down. So I think, getting that control, like you've both touched on, it will be really key. I think away from home even more so, just because they'll have the crowd totally behind them. And what will be most important really is getting that clean sheet for us. I think we're really missing that. I think we had a good period. Maybe it was when Emery first came in where we barely conceded a goal, and we had a really good defensive record. I think at one point, Emi Martinez was probably close to a Golden Glove or something off the top of my head. So we need to sort of get back to that, and this is probably one of those games that we should be looking as a really good opportunity to keep it tight. So yeah, I think let's not underestimate the newly promoted side. As we always say, no banana skins, but it should be an interesting game. I think, like we saw against Leicester, the newly promoted sides can cause problems, can't they? So it'll be an interesting one for us.
Yeah, Ryan, I'll come to you in a second. I'm going to fly through some of these. So this is pretty impressive from a Villa point of view. So Villa played in the Premier League era. We've played Ipswich 10 times. We've won 7. We've got 4 home wins. We've got 3 away wins. So if that can continue, very, very happy. Previous meetings, the last one was a 0-0. We beat them 2-1, a 2-1, a 2-1, a 1-0, a 2-0. So really, really good. So far this season, they're 17th. They've drawn 3, lost 2. They're scoring 0.6 per match and they're conceding 1.6. We are scoring 2.0 and conceding 1.4. I want that to get a little bit lower, that 1.4. Form guide going into it, Villa have won their last 3. Ipswich have drew their last 3. This is the team which we'll go into a lot more detail tomorrow on the predicted lineup. You can see their average positions again. I'll go through this. I'll pick them apart. I'll try my best. Right, I think you might quite like some of these. So this is built on 5 games then, so it's not a great sample size, but I'll fly through them. So this is Premier League stats for the first 5 games. I think once we get to around 10, we can sort of look at these in a bit more detail. So Ipswich are averaging 37.82% average possession. Their passing, they are at 81.24%. Aston Villa are at 51.10% of our average possession. We are at 86% of all of our passes. Final third passes, we're at 76.77%. We have scored 10 goals. Our XG so far this season is at 8.7. So we have a differential of 1.30. We have a goal conversion rate of 16.13%. Ipswich are at 3 goals with an XG of 3.23. So they are a net 0.23 below where they probably should be. We have got here now goals conceded. We've conceded 7. We are at an XG of 5.19. And we can have a look at Ipswich. They're at conceded 8 and they're an XG of 11.09. So the differential is 3.9. Here we can see Villa subs. We've used 25 subs. We've got 4 goals from subs. We've got errors that have led to a shot of 5, and Ipswich have used 24 subs, and none of those subs have got a goal. Ryan, I know you like your young up-and-coming managers, so do you like Kieran? Are you a fan, or do you think he's overhyped somewhat, or where are you at?
No, I very much a fan. I think it was our season prediction show where I was just negotiating a way to keep Ipswich in this league, because I feel like his managerial performance over the last 2 seasons, back-to-back promotions, deserves it. And I feel like his style is very attractive. I think his shape is very expansive. It reminds me a bit about Villa, the way they start in a system, but then, like, you've just popped up the average positions there, and it's completely different to the formation that you put on paper. I think, like, their left back, he just bombs on. He's very dangerous. You know, they've got a lively, youthful front two. So they are a good team, and I watched their opening game against Liverpool, and the first half, they looked really good. They took that form from the previous 2 years and brought it straight into the Premier League. And they rattled Liverpool for 45 minutes, and eventually Liverpool's quality shone, and then they had another nightmare game away at Manchester City. So welcome to the Premier League for them two fixtures. But most teams in the league are going to lose them 2 fixtures, and they've settled down now, and they've got 3 draws in a row. And you know, you look at Fulham, started the season really well. Brighton too. Southampton going away at their place. You feel that their point that they've earned is probably better than the point that the opposition's earned. So I feel there's still a positive energy around Ipswich, and they're very much excited to be in the Premier League and attacking it well. And I feel like their squad is starting to evolve now. They've pretty much kept the same squad for the last 2 seasons that got them in the Premier League, but they're starting to introduce their new signings now. I think it's Dara O'Shea. He's the latest to be introduced. It looks like he's settling in at centre-back now. And like I said, they've got a youthful front two, Liam Delap, another new signing, and Amari Hutchison. They're very lively up top. So make no bones about it, we're in for a tough game. And like, historically, like, it's always been a bit of a banana skin for Villa, and we're normally quite charitable to clubs that have been promoted when we've gone there. But this is a different Villa now, and I feel like there is parts of our play that can really rattle them. I think our ball carrying, our physical ball carrying, our movement, the balls in between the line, I think we can really throw them out of shape and rattle them if we start off well. And the likes of Bailey, Rodgers, Ramsey, they're all going to be key for this fixture, their movement. And it should be, for the neutral, I think, a fascinating watch. I think two good teams, 2 expansive teams, 2 attractive teams going up against each other. And I'm actually going on Sunday, so it's the first time I've ever been to Portman Road. So looking at them records, I hope that stays the way it is, and I'll go and see us win. So that'd be a nice touch.
Yeah, bring back them 3 points, because like you're saying, you know, the old Villa, the script is written, isn't it? Oh, Ipswich, you've not won a game yet. Newly promoted. Oh, play Aston Villa.
Like the Robin Hood of the Premier League, weren't they?
Yeah, it was like, oh, God. Thank God that era's over. Right, Hannah, I want to just touch on, and we can all chip into this bit as well then. So while we're talking about Ipswich, you know, they are going to be involved in a relegation battle. You know, for everything that we've said positively about Ipswich, they are going to be in and around the relegation zone. So here we've got the current Premier League table. And for me, I'm saying 15th and below, I think he's going to be all of the teams. Maybe take away Palace, the teams that are involved in the relegation battle. Everybody hasn't got a win. Who so far do you think is going down out of this list of teams?
I am pretty sure in the prediction show I said it would be all of the newly promoted teams. I now am not sure, because I don't know whether Leicester might have enough. However, that being said, I do think it will still be Ipswich and Southampton. very sorry about that. Any Ipswich fans that have dialed into this episode. I mean, look, if we looked at this again in another 10, 15 games, I might say something totally different, right? Can only go off what we've seen so far. Yes, so far they're in 17th, but I do think the lack of goals that they're scoring will become a problem because, you know, it's inevitable that they're going to concede. So I think the lack of goals, is definitely an issue. However, that being said, I mean, look, Everton and Wolves have had an absolutely rotten start. The amount that they're conceding is totally unsustainable. I just think, again, with teams like that, their Premier League experience in recent years will just give them that edge to survive. Like, just knowing what it takes, being able to grind out wins, and also they've just got Premier League squads ultimately, or at least an average Premier League squad. So I think maybe Leicester may survive out of the 3 promoted teams. So I'd say maybe Ipswich and Southampton, and one maybe Everton and Wolves. I don't know. I'm sitting on the fence. I honestly can't make a judgment yet. I think new ownership at Everton could massively lift them. We don't know what's going to happen in January. It's really hard at this stage to make any predictions.
Yeah, I think that new ownership for Everton, I think it's massively gonna help. I think it's gonna give that club an uplift if they can get to spend a bit in Jan. Dyche may or may not be there. New stadium, it's imperative that they stay up. They probably will stay up. But you look at that, 14 goals conceded in 5 games. I mean, you carry that on. Like, oh my God, they're going to be on nearly 100. But one team that you can probably tell that I'm not a massive fan of Wolves. I think they're going down, I do. I think they're rock bottom going down. I can't see them getting out of that at all. I just think the manager, don't rate him, and I think they're going to struggle. And I think Ipswich are going to stay up. You know, I think it's going to be Wolves, Southampton, and Leicester. I think that's, from what I've seen so far, that's what I think. Ryan, where are you at? You sending the Dingles down?
Yeah, I think so. I think I sort of agree with you. Like you say, like Everton have been stale. They're like mouldy at the minute, aren't they? And that takeover could blow the cobwebs away. And you know, they didn't do too bad last season, did they? If you was to take away the points deduction, you know, they're mid-table, so there is potential in them to claw themselves out of it. Can I see anybody else getting dragged into that apart from Wolves and the 3 that come up? I'm not too sure. I think Crystal Palace have still got enough about them, and West Ham and Bournemouth, and yeah, maybe Brentford drop into it a bit. But again, they're well managed and well structured, and they've got a good squad. So, you know, it's inevitable now. I feel like every year that 3 that come up are in the battle to stay up. And you don't really get that one team. Maybe Leeds was the last team that like just flew up the league when they come back up and stayed up like comfortably. Like, you know, cast your mind back to when we come up, and that was a battle, wasn't it? An absolute battle to stay up. And you know, it's rare now that clubs coming up survive that. You know, so yeah. Wolves. I think I weren't too impressed with them the other day. You know, they did knock it around a bit, but once said like drop back and their dirty tactics and time wasting, and it just left a sour taste. And plus, you know, they're down the road, so let's give it a
Yeah, if any Wolves fans are still in the algorithm from last week, sorry, but yeah, there we go. Right, so we'll finish it off then. Score predictions. I'll kick it off. I think we're going to win. So I think we're going to win. Are we going to concede or not? I would like to think not. 2-0. Let's go. A lot of players have been away, haven't they? Watkins, Powell, Rodgers have all had this sort of little break after the Wolves game. So refreshed, raring and ready to go. So 2-0 for me. Hannah?
I'm going to copy you, I think. I'm feeling confident for this clean sheet that we've just spent half an hour talking about. Yeah, I think we'll have enough to score 2 on the day.
Right, is it a full house of not conceding, Ryan, or not?
It's not. It's not.
Oh no!
I will say one thing I do want from this game is full focus, because Bayern is up next, and I don't want that I don't want that game before a cup final type of vibe, man. It's got to be fully committed. But unfortunately, the clean sheet for me is going to have to wait. I'm going to go 3-1 Villa.
What, have we got the clean sheet against Bayern?
Yeah. No one's breaching our Champions League defence. That's the only time we've kept a clean sheet this season in Champions League. Saving it all up for that, mate.
We'll carry that for me then. So, right, thank you, everyone. Cheers for watching. So, if you are new and you haven't subscribe, smash the likes, comment your thoughts. We want you to get involved in pretty much everything that we discuss. And we're back for the predicted lineup up the Villa.
Up the Villa.